Hello, everyone, and a very warm welcome to all of you joining us from different time zones today. I think we are having people from India, from European countries, from North America, and maybe some other places joining us today. So I am Saurabh Kavaathekar, and I'm truly delighted to see such a fantastic turnout for today's session. Today's session is part of our webinar series called as Globalization at the Power of AI, where we explore the practical and strategic intersection of globalization and artificial intelligence. At Fidel Softech, we are dedicated to helping organizations bridge the gap between complex engineering and seamless localization through AI-driven automation. We are at a very interesting crossroads in the localization industry, as you all know. So today, it's not about the hype of AI that we're talking about, everybody's talking about, but about sharing the real world leadership insights on how do we navigate this shift together. So together is the keyword. I will bold, italize, and underline together word because we should together ride this wave of AI and technology that we see around us. And before we formally get into the questions, etc., a few housekeeping items that I wanted to highlight are that we are recording this session and we'll share the link afterwards to all of you whoever has registered for this session. We'll share the link afterwards, and the attendees will remain muted during the main discussion between me, Dave, and Olga to make sure that we have best audio quality during the session. You all get to hear three of us. And then towards the end of this session, around 10-15 minutes will be there booked for the Q&A session. So you will be able to unmute yourself and pick the brains of our experts. So that's how it will be. So so now it is my absolute honor to introduce our guests today from Lion People Global. Lion People Global is a firm that is truly run by experts for experts, providing growth solutions through talent acquisition and merger and acquisition strategies. We have Olga Blasco. She is the M&A Principal Partner at Lion People Global. With over 20 years in leadership at top-tier global corporations, Olga now helps business owners increase company value and fulfill their end game through strategic investments in talent and technology. She is a nomad at heart, operating out of Dublin and Istanbul. And then we have Dave Ruane. He is Global Director for Client Solutions. Dave brings over 2.5 decades of experience in driving innovation and transformative change. When he isn't solving complex business challenges, you will likely find him fly fishing or following Ireland's rugby teams. So Olga and Dave, it's wonderful to have you both here. Before we dive into the set of questions that we have for today, would you really like to say a quick hello and hi to the audience and maybe a couple of words from your side?
Thanks, Saurabh. Hello, everyone from sunny Istanbul, and delighted to be here this afternoon for me. So hopefully this will be a lively discussion at the end.
Hi, everybody.
Sure.
I'm from slightly sunny Cadiz in Spain, a bit cloudy today. Very nice to be here. Thanks for having us, Sarah.
Thank you. You are most welcome, Olga and Dave, and I'm sure we will have a great session today with both of you. A lot of learnings, and people will get to know how to ride this AI wave, whether they are running their businesses or they are leading their own professions and careers. So let's get started. So Dave, you have been at the forefront of innovation in localization. What does a truly AI native localization organization look like, according to you?
Yeah, great question. And I've been fortunate to see innovations pass through the industry, in particular in the last 8 to 10 years, as I've run the Process Innovation Challenge, one of the platforms for innovation in the space. But many people have a perspective on this. Let me give you mine. Let's start with an example of a company which has shown positive movement in the industry in the last year or so. So I'm going to talk about a group of companies, a type of company in the service space. And there's a growing cohort of what we would call mid-market companies who are pursuing a very clear and explicit takeoff strategy, and that is to adopt an AI-first positioning. And that positioning is built around proprietary enterprise-grade platforms that can orchestrate a broad spectrum of services. So this kind of hybrid plus services model is designed to outcompete legacy and put them in this sweet spot position against technology players. So, you know, when I talk about the competition that they're looking at, it's language technology vendors, undifferentiated language service providers, maybe narrowly focused disruptor companies who are trying to come into the space. So why am I talking about them? Well, by combining platform leverage, service depth, they're trying to really expand market share and unlock growth through scale, you know, through typical stuff, stronger client retention, revenue recurrence. And what we're talking about is great growth ambitions, you know, not just 20%, 10%, you know, it's 3 times revenue growth aspirations. And if they're successful, they'll be able to attract what we call, you know, significantly higher enterprise value at some point. And that could turn into single-digit revenue multiples, double-digit EBITDA multiples. So those companies exist right now. Now, don't worry if anyone's listening and you're not one of those at the moment. My point is this. Sometimes when you're trying to make a journey, some of the ships that are most assertive and aggressive in that journey on the river have to cut through first. You know, if we've got ice on the river, we need ice cutters. We need companies who are showing the direction of travel. And I think these companies would be investment backed, so private equity backed typically, and those investors would have a clear end game. I mentioned this as I believe on the basis of those companies having success, others will copy it. They have superpowers like every company set does. Their superpowers are agility, pivotability, if that's a word, ability to pivot, so that they're able to change on a die still, but they're enough of a size, which means they can grow using new rules and technology. And typically, revenue size for them is between 10 and 50 million. There are exceptions to that. But yeah, I just wanted to start with that group.
All right. So that's the sweet spot, and you're right. I think innovation is key. And to follow that up, Dave, where do you see the biggest disconnect between what companies say about AI and what they are actually doing? So what do you see there?
Look, I think most companies have joined the AI marketing message machine, right? And the bandwagon that's around it, you know, can blame them. You know, we all do it to some degree. No one wants to be seen as left behind, right? So we will put a kind of a wrapper around what we do, and that wrapper needs to look like what people expect to see. And at the moment, everyone's talking about AI. Okay,
you're right. I think we have seen this. Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, we've seen it, haven't we? And we're going to see more of it. Remember, everything that's deployed follows the bell curve. And you know, you have innovators, and then at the other side you have the laggards. The difficulty here with this is, with this kind of disruption, is how to differentiate or disseminate between companies who have done some adoption, a certain amount of AI adoption, versus those who have a real winning AI model. And buyers are going to have to do this work, right? So I expect that buyers will look for very clear and expansive trust signals. So solid thought leadership, evidence of returns, things like that, which they can analyze early. Remember, we've all noticed the trend in the last 10 plus years where buyers do a higher percentage increase of their research before they speak to a vendor. Some people estimate it's at 80% now. was 70% a few years ago. I would say it's higher. So 80% of the work is done by research work before they reach out to vendors. And I think AI will mean this percentage goes up, and you need to be found by AI if you're a vendor. The disconnect you mentioned is going to be a lot bigger than what we saw with neural machine translation, although I expect it'll happen much faster. So remember this little point. Neural machine translation broke through around what, 2015 to 17. You start to see the initial ones really come through. Became a standard. You know, we can't call it a standard, but for all intents and purposes, I'll use that terminology in 2018, 2019, approximately. So this is, there's going to be a trust gap created here, as some companies will have real AI stuff, others will perhaps look like they do, and expect enterprise RFP questions to be used to discern this, and then that'll trickle down through the ecosystem. So I expect it's going to be a lot faster than what happened at NMT, but let's see.
Yeah, let's see. I think it's everywhere. I think every industry, everywhere, people are talking about AI, and definitely it is bringing a lot of change. And you're right, there have been waves of similar transformations when we saw the internet wave, or when the computers came in, and then Web 2.0, and then the social media, etc. So many waves we have seen, and this is a very rapid transformation that we are seeing. So finally, how is AI reshaping the content strategy, not just the translation part of it, but the end-to-end content lifecycle? Do you see anything there?
Yeah, I think I'll just make one simple point on this, that we're shifting from do something after creation, so translate after creation, to design for global from the start across the whole life cycle. So an example of this, a legacy model would look like, let me say, I write an English blog, that's my native language. So I write an English blog, I then get it translated into 5 languages, publish it, hope it performs. Now it's going to be more, hold on, let me start with market intent. Let me analyze, or get AI to analyze, what German, Spanish, Japanese buyers will actually search for with respect to this topic. Then I'll generate multiple localized versions up front, more tailored content. Then I'll go multi-mode. I'll go from blog to video, script to LinkedIn post to video to whatever, email campaign. So AI will then track performance. So it's a much more holistic view. You become the operator, or the the inspector, rather than just the doer, as you were before. And I think that's just a very simple example of how I see it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's how maybe you will see it getting orchestrated. You will orchestrate all of that. Sure. So maybe I'll turn to Olga. Olga, moving to the business side of that transformation, right? From a merger and acquisitions lens, how is AI impacting company valuations in the localization industry and the language tech space? How do you see that?
That's a very good question, and one that we get asked a lot, and which is why we wrote about it in a recent article at the beginning of the year, because there are 3 very distinct valuation profiles, and Dave has already alluded to them, right?
Yeah.
So you have the AI native SaaS platform companies, you have the AI augmented businesses that are service businesses, but they have a tech positioning. So this is the hybrid, I can do it all. And then you have the AI exposed but untransformed LSPs, or yet to be transformed LSPs. And those 3 paths coexist, and they carry different valuation criteria. And this is something that, may I dare say, not everybody wants to listen to, but I mean, it needs to be said, for clarification, and it's a sobering reality. So for AI native SaaS platforms, like pure tech companies, if they are early venture tech disruptors, I mean, they are onto something really great, they have something really good, but the company started only recently, and therefore, their revenue is still very low, but they have started proving themselves in the market, and they have developed something that, larger companies that are thinking of developing may want to acquire. They could end up, with valuations that are high single digit or, double digit revenue multiples, because they have something that can really mean competitive advantage to whoever acquires. If it's a late stage or a scale up, technology company, of course, we are looking at single digit or, double digit revenue multiples, depending on whether their current portfolio and their product suite ranks in the next 2-3 years in the markets. Okay. So why do we have hybrid companies positioning themselves as, I am an AI-enabled services company, but I'm positioning myself as a tech company? And why do we have SaaS CEOs in those companies? Because that strategy can increase, the value and the valuation of the enterprise in the future. So then, because as Dave already said, I mean, they're truly looking to outcompete pure technology plays. They are looking at growing very quickly. Their strategies have 3x growth, and they are aspiring at having this kind of, revenue multiple valuation or high EBITDA multiple valuation. And they all have high capacity investors. So they are increasing in numbers, and even some companies that were mid-market services, they have pivoted towards this position. So I see totally the reason as to why, they are rallying, these high capacity investors around them, because they are looking at, being able to play services and tech both simultaneously.
Okay.
For LSPs that are using AI, or they have pivoted to AI, but they have the same, let's say, service offering premises before. A lot of them, they have experienced revenue plateaus or revenue declines. Some of them have increasing profitability. Some of them have also seen profitability declines. So their valuations depend on where they are, in that journey. So, I mean, for companies that are less than 5 million in revenue, euros or dollars, whichever you want to look at it, and EBITDA's below 15%, at the moment they're seeing 2-3x EBITDA multiples maximum. And I know that this is very disappointing news. But this is what we see in the market again and again. For businesses that are a little bit, higher in revenue, like 7 million plus, and they have EBITDAs that are showing sustainability, and that, they could be at 1 million plus, they can see 4-5x EBITDA in multiples. So this is a little bit better, but they need to really put the resilience under that bias scrutiny. And then for higher performing companies that have higher revenues, above 10 million, up to 25 million in revenue, and they have, high EBITDA, results, they're able to maintain them. They could be looking at a slightly higher multiple, but they need to have a clear growth path in the growth trajectory. And they need to have something that differentiates them, that allows them to really defend that performance. To recap, it's not about AI wiping, value out completely, but it is actually creating these very distinct valuation profiles at the moment. And, depending on who the buyer is, they might be looking at certain things with an eye of, like, this car is higher risk than this, therefore, our priority one or tier one is this, as opposed to, these other things.
Got it. All right. So, Olga, maybe to follow that up, are buyers today valuing technology capabilities more than revenue or customer base? Do you see that?
I mean, some buyers, they are placing value on these niche technology acquisitions that will enhance their existing platforms and that will future-proof their portfolios, or that perhaps an acquisition will accelerate the path rather than building that technology themselves. Because at the moment, if you position yourself to win RFPs that will allow you to have recurrence for the next 2 to 3 years, I mean, this is also going to allow, for
Yeah.
you to accelerate
Right.
your
Right.
trajectory. And of course, any technology that gives you that competitive advantage will be attractive. But I have to say that, revenue stickiness, it's still a standout differentiator,
Right.
for acquisitions. So revenue recurrence is extremely important, because with revenue recurrence, you can use it as the building blocks for what's coming next. So
Yeah.
if you have to, talk about value drivers, yeah, I mean, like a disruptive technology that allows for competitive advantage and future-proofing the portfolio is good, but we're also talking about financial resilience, and we're
Right.
also talking uh, a solid risk-mitigated client portfolio.
Right.
So
Right. So this, yeah.
financial resilience needs to be there. That's revenue recurrence with good MSAs. It's profitable scale. Like, even if you have dipped in revenue, did you manage to defend your profitability? Or
Exactly.
if your profitability decreased because you invested in growth, has that growth happened?
Right.
Do you have future projections that show that you will be able to maintain this?
Yeah.
And you do you show that kind of confidence to a potential buyer that
Right.
your performance is okay, but in their hands
Right.
it could become better, so that is a win-win
Absolutely.
situation for
Absolutely.
everyone.
Right.
And
Right.
and
So
that, healthy balance sheet, and a
yeah.
client portfolio that has enterprise clients, that has a number of clients that are sizable, so that it means that you are an incumbent, that has premium value. And if you have deep positioning in growth verticals, specializations, or sought after geographies, because you are the leader in your region for, regulated industries. I mean, if you are able to show that strong positioning and that risk mitigated portfolio, that's also a value. So just
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
recap, some technologies, yes, of course, but revenue recurrence, solid financial performance, and risk mitigated client portfolio are extremely important too.
Right. Right. So business fundamentals are always important. Right.
Mhm.
Sure. Sure. So then I think that I want to talk a little bit about the people behind the tech. And Dave, which roles in localization are more at risk due to AI? What do you see about that? And which roles will become more valuable as time comes? So, what do you think?
Yeah, thanks, Saurabh. You can call me Captain Obvious here, but maybe just bear with me for a minute or two. I think we all logically understand the answer to this, but sometimes it helps to have a visual reason of the whys. And as I said earlier, a map. Show me a map, and then I
Yeah,
can
yeah,
use that map to kind of move my career, my role
exactly.
towards somewhere else, right? So I think at the moment, because those maps don't really exist as a standard form, everyone has to do this analysis, fit themselves or within their peer transcripts. So AI is compressing lower value task-based roles. Okay, we know that. It's elevating hybrid, higher impact ones. So roles most at risk in a situation like that tend to be high volume translation, manual project coordination type activity, purely
Yeah,
linguistic positions without tech or domain context. So many people will put their hand up and say, yes, absolutely, I see that. Roles becoming more valuable will include things like AI augmented linguistic expertise, language leaders managing workflows and machine workflows, and professionals who combine a mix of language, AI, business understanding. For example, a translator who previously worked on maybe product descriptions is now replaced by an automatic workflow, but that same person evolves to review AI output, refine prompts, and ensures quality and cultural accuracy, right? So that's
right,
an
right.
example.
Yeah,
What's the point? Leveling up is part of disruptive embedding. And when disruptive technologies come about, leveling up happens. sometimes we can't foresee before it happens to us where it's bringing us. But if we're smart enough and we figure things out, and maybe sit back, get some advice, you can start to say, okay, actually, my path is going in this direction. Let me jump on the wave quickly because I want to get there early.
Right. So maybe let me double down on this one, and let's take an example. If someone is a localization project manager today, right? How should they evolve over the next 2-3 years, right? If you can shed some light there.
First thing I'll share is, and I'll kind of do a bit of self-reflection, which is
Yeah.
my own career path has gone all over the place. And that's for some people, it's not for others, but I would say that ability, that sort of sense of, hey, yeah, I can actually do a bit of that, is more valuable now, irrespective of whether you're someone who would welcome it with open arms or someone who would be reticent to that type of situation. So I would just say that's
Right.
starting off. Localization project manager, could evolve. So one path could be evolve from coordinating tasks to owning outcomes. So by becoming a hybrid operator who understands AI workflows, client
Right.
objectives, and end-to-end delivery. So this means
Perfect.
from, let's say that you're managing timelines and handoffs and receiving them and sending them one place and it comes
Yeah.
back into areas
Absolutely.
like automation, quality strategy, and stakeholder impact. So instead of manually managing things, files, relationships with suppliers, they're designing and optimizing AI-enabled workflows, advising clients on the best localization approach, and ensuring business results. So advise, let's go back to that
Right.
word. You become an advisor who knows their stuff and knows how file management and all of the elements of global content work, but actually can work as an advisor. They've leveled up. And
Right.
so some people say, I don't want to do that, and fine, there may be another path for you. But a PM who once tracked jobs in spreadsheets now configures an AI-driven pipeline, monitors
Right.
quality signals,
Yeah.
proactively adjusts content strategy based on market performance. So that's an example of a map that somebody
Yeah.
could take.
Yeah.
So shifting from project management to solution ownership.
Very good. I think that's a great call out. And obviously, I think it underscores the importance of actually moving away from day to day kind of repetitive things to more thoughtful kind of owning the thing and then driving it strategically. So that's wonderful. And Olga, when you evaluate leadership teams during M&A, what skills or traits immediately stand out as a future ready?
Well, I would say, I would answer this question the same way I always did, which is, even in these times of, high disruption and acceleration in the markets, sustainable advantage comes from having the right leadership in place. And having
Right.
the right leadership in place means that you have leaders that know how to navigate those disruption S-curves that are
Yeah.
happening with succession now.
Right.
And navigating S-curves means understanding what to preserve that matters,
Right. Yeah.
and what not to discard,
Right.
anticipate what's coming next, and being able to drive the changes and mobilize the entire organization towards that future.
Exactly.
And what these type of leaders also do is they invest in people with skill sets that enable them to interpret the market shifts correctly together, with the rest of the teams, and are able to
Yeah.
make decisions that translate into higher enterprise value. And that
Right.
sometimes means bring people that know a lot more about something than yourself, because you want yourself, but with the best possible talent that will help you. And then, of course, what this means is that you are pursuing a talent strategy with high capability density at its core, which means that you redesign the teams that align to the business goals and you are trying to develop those teams, in such a way that they concentrate all those things that you need. So that's always
Right.
a mix of domain expertise, technology fluency, business acumen, and high emotional intelligence. Right
Right.
now, that's
Yeah.
important because it
Got it.
means
Got
that you are able to maximize what human expertise can bring,
it. Right.
and also you can configure teams that include full-time people and fractional roles. Depending on what you need to achieve or what transitions or bridges you need to cross.
Right. 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 Got it. Perfect. So on the flip side, Olga, what are the biggest mistakes the professionals make when trying to stay relevant in an AI-driven world that is now? Right? What kind of mistakes do you think?
I think that when everybody is under this AI
Yeah.
pressure, just hearing day in and day out, about the, productivity and everything
Yeah.
else. I mean, people can fall into that trap of saying, I need to achieve a long list of certifications to
Right.
prove that I have now, learn how to code this, how to do this, and how to do that. And if you want to redirect your career in that direction, certainly, like why not? But I
Right.
think that for people that are not directly um, developing product, um, you could reposition yourself as a value enabler expert. Dave has already
Yeah.
talked about this, to
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
I understand this enough that now I can make the suggestions as to what we need to design here, and this is my value add. So you don't
Correct.
need to show a long list of AI
Exactly.
credentials, just that you
Exactly.
are able to understand this. Um, if you focus too much on productivity gains and cost reductions and all these numbers as opposed to value creation and impact, you are basically focusing on achievements that are, of course, valuable, but you might need to think about how do you explain then what this means to the client. So how
Right.
do you
Right.
reframe the changes that need to happen for the work to be done from now on?
Exactly.
And,
Exactly.
and finally, and I think that we are starting to talk about this a little bit more now. I think that another mistake is understanding that because we got so sophisticated now,
Yeah.
we don't need to put as much importance on risk mitigation because all the checks and balances are embedded in the technology. And
So true.
the answer
Yeah.
is you need to pay attention to content
Yeah.
governance because you are
Exactly.
deciding what decisions should be made here and what decisions should be made there. Then, of course, you can embed them into the technology, but first of all, you need to understand the ramifications and the consequences.
Exactly. Exactly. And I'm sure. I think don't overdo it. So stay aligned with what your needs are and stay aligned with where the technology is going, but don't overdo it. And then either of you can answer this one. If you had to advise someone in the mid-career professional in localization industry today, what are the couple of skills they should be investing into immediately right now? What are the top few, maybe one or two, three kind of skills?
Yeah. So just continuing on what we were just talking about now, orchestration
Yeah.
enablement. So if you
Yeah.
want to practice, pick one real client workflow end to end and
Right.
redesign it using the best combination of AI, human experts, measure the savings, measure the impact for the client, measure the risk exposure. Content governance, we also talked about this. So what should and should not be automated? How do you establish the checks and balances in decision making,
Yeah. Yeah.
guardrails, and risk mitigation?
Right.
And then, even if it hasn't been a core part of your job, uh,
Mm.
try to understand AI economics. So,
Right.
so improve your commercial and financial acumen in relation to how do you articulate ROI to clients?
Exactly. Yeah.
How do you articulate it in speed, risk reduction, market access, product impact, all that?
Perfect. Perfect. Sounds good. All right. So maybe Dave, do you want to
Yeah,
add
I was
anything?
just gonna,
Yeah.
yeah, just a
Yeah.
quick thing. Has anyone heard of a company called Nokia?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Does anyone know what Nokia do? No.
Yeah.
Great.
I think the audience are muted, but yeah, maybe we can continue.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I'll imagine people are shouting out phones and stuff like that. I have a few old Nokia phones actually in my office here.
Yeah.
So let me answer the question. I think someone got it right there.
Yeah.
Nokia started as a paper company.
Right.
Right. They got into maps. They then got into phone. They got into, many people will know what happened with the phone situation and
Yeah.
the CEO saying we did nothing wrong. They're now into networks, and they're still,
Networks.
a $20 billion company in networks. So
Yeah.
while their story isn't the best news story, it's one of ability to pivot and find a new business niche. And I think that is, even on an individual level, that's what is facing all of us who have been in an industry. I can't only
Yeah.
agree with Olga and everything she says, absolutely thumbs up on that. But I mentioned leveling up before, and I think
Right.
change is the constant. Then you have to change
Exactly.
at an adequate rate to keep pace. So
Right.
that means leveling up. So
Right.
understanding things, no matter what role you were in before, understanding things like business value and KPOs. And some people will probably roll their eyes at me and say, what are you talking about? That's not me. I do a specific skill set that I have, and I apply that skill set. But if you are trying to work in the new world, you will have to do some level of leveling up and
Yeah.
understanding what key, uh, you know, KPIs, obviously we all know what they are, but how do they impact key business objectives, KPOs?
Right.
What is the map from KPIs that you produce to KPOs for the business? How do you connect the dots there? So anyone who can do that and understand that and show that to people, what I like to call value mapping, actually, that is skyrocketing. That's the kind of stuff that it makes you a genius. No matter what you do, connect it to KPOs, you'll do great business. The other one, which may seem a bit counterintuitive, is how to be more human. So having genuine, well-practiced communications, pitching, and speaking skills, I believe, and I'm already seeing it, has become a differentiator. It will become even more of a differentiator. AI will make everyone a better communicator, perhaps, but just like Excel made everyone better at analysis, but that doesn't mean that it makes you a better leader. It just raises the bar. So the
Yeah.
leaders who stand out will be the ones who bring judgment, authenticity, and a unique perspective. So go practice real pitching is my advice. Pitching, not pitching.
Yeah.
Because that's as raw as it gets. And if you have to pitch in front of an audience, you're going to become a better communicator.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Sure. So then moving on, Olga, leaning into your strong zone here, you work very closely with founders. What separates companies that successfully scale from those that stagnate?
Without a doubt, the ones that put the focus on strategy before scale. And
Brilliant.
it means that, defining strategy before scale means that you're defining your growth thesis and you
Yeah.
align teams and your systems and products and services to that growth strategy. And this growth thesis is made of what compounds value, how do you create that value, how you defend it, and why clients will choose you. Are you
Right.
going to use M&A to accelerate?
Yeah.
Are you? And if you do, why? And if you don't, why not?
Right.
Technology, what are you going to embrace and how are you going to use it, to attract clients? and then the leadership, who's going to help you lead the organization you're becoming. And if you're tempted to skip this exercise, I mean, something is going to break, in the process,
Right.
because it can create confusion, it could create burnout and leadership misalignments if you attempt to scale just because you're onto something good, you started something and it got traction and it's very encouraging. You might be tempted to say, I can keep going like this and I will figure it out. I mean, I can change the engine and at 20,000 feet and it will be okay. But when this kind of a breakdown happens, when you attempt to scale without properly clarifying the strategy, it's expensive to fix afterwards. So you need to make a pause and say, what kind of growth are we prioritizing? What are we not prioritizing and why? What problems do we expect investment in sales or M&A to solve? And which ones we don't expect that are convenient for us and why? What should technology do and what should be just, human systems? And what leadership capabilities are necessary? So I know it is painful from experience to say yes to this and no to that, because sometimes you feel like you're missing out on something. If you say no, like you might be closing a door that would have been important. But it's not a delay or a kind of like closing doors. It's a power move because you earn the right to move faster later and move with clarity and with everybody aligned to be there with intention. So this is the most common denominator between the companies that get ahead of others, even if they share the same technology resources and the good solid portfolios. The ones that have higher chances of success and get ahead are usually the ones that have paid a lot of importance to this.
All right, sure. Thanks for that. And Dave, from a client solutions perspective, what are the enterprise buyers expecting today that they did not do like 5 years ago or a few years ago? What are they doing now?
Yeah, that's a great question. In no particular order, I think number one, I'll call it number one, anything that enhances their status as an embedded part of their organization. So, meaning they are enabled to level up and add additional value, like I said earlier. So focus on market outcomes. Enable them to say something to their hierarchy like, we've increased conversion in Germany by 18% on product X.
Right.
Solutions that have proven direct impact to global or local sales will be listened to. So it's impact mentality, right?
Yeah.
Second one would be AI-enabled efficiency by default. So AI is no longer a delightful feature, to use the product management terminology. It's a basic need territory feature now.
Right.
So you've got to have it enabled by default, right? And thirdly, end-to-end ownership and partnership and connectivity into their landscape, and with a high level of transparency and control. So customers are looking for this end-to-end piece. This is why 15 years ago, cloud-based TMSs really came about and grew incredibly fast as clients at enterprises, mid-market companies as well, and later SMBs understood, oh, this gives me access to my assets, my language assets. So that's why, not the only reason, but that's one of the big reasons why TMSs grew, because customers wanted ownership over their IP. Later on, we'll see as things evolve that there'll be more of a requirement by buyers for strategic guidance, but only and once you are a trusted partner.
Right. Understood. Sure. And then the next thing that I wanted to know, Olga, you describe Lion people as strategic talent architects. What does that really mean in the practical terms? And how is hiring changing with AI? Are companies really hiring in a different way now, or what's going on?
Yeah, so first of all, I mean, being a strategic talent partner to clients means really understanding that, you know, different companies and different teams will require different solutions. So for executive search, you need to find a person, but not only a person that carries, you know, excellent credentials. I mean, it needs to be, you know, really aligned, really aligned with who the founders, the board, you know, want to achieve, you know, and see the company moving forward. So it needs to identify the person that will be the best at driving that transformation and long-term value. And that's a very difficult choice sometimes. And that's why those processes can be long. Then for critical specialized hires, you know, there is a strategic hire solution where you actually need to find an expert really fast and hard to find profiles. So you need to really tap into your network and really find the needle in the haystack. And then for teams that require building ongoing talent pipelines, you have this kind of requirement to set up a flow of recruitment that comes in and builds this pipeline of talent that will never leave a gap in the requirement. So you need to have a continuous flow of qualified candidates, and that is a lot of work, for which AI is useful because you can use data enrichment and outbound strategies. How has hiring changed? We are seeing fewer hires than before, but each one of them is supposed to be more impactful than ever before. So instead of building large teams, companies are asking, what is the smallest team that we can put together in order to create the largest impact? So basically, like we were talking earlier about capacity density. So capacity density means hiring for skills and adaptability, not just the experience, proven impact, you know, not just the CV, and then being able to bring in like different skills that make you versatile and flexible, you know, as a talent resource in a company. And a lot of the time, because of this very, you know, sniper approach, we want to find this type of talent, it creates a gap, you know, because you're looking for a high impact individual. And sometimes those profiles are hard to find and even hard to attract. So for that, we bridge the gap with fractional experts that are consultants until the right candidates are found, because sometimes timing is the essence. So just to summarize, hiring has become more strategic, more selective, and closely tied to revenue, growth, impact, somebody that can immediately hit the ground running and contribute to enterprise value. And that's why, I mean, Lion People Grow has invested into providing these solutions, because we know, I mean, that's why our clients are coming to us because they need to get it right the first time around.
Yeah, absolutely. And Olga, I think that was a great take on the topic. So the next thing, maybe either of you can answer this question. How do you maintain a human-centered approach while pushing the aggressive tech-driven transformation in today's time? What do you think about that?
So one of my favorite books of all time, actually, and Dave is probably smiling because he's heard me say this before, is The Hard Thing About Hard Things by Ben Horowitz. And one of my favorite quotes in that book is that his old boss, I can't remember which company, used to say, we take care of the people, the products, and the profits in that order.
Right.
It's simple, but it's deep. People, products, profits. Because he used to say, apparently, that taking care of the people is the most difficult of the three. And if you don't do it, the other two don't matter. So I think that the message is investing in the right people, board employees, advisors who are fit decision makers is fundamental to to build that sustainable advantage I've been talking about during this session, with technology
Right.
sitting inside the ecosystem rather than driving it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You've got to remember that this is a people-to-people business, and
Yeah.
this isn't going to change. You know, the layers of connection are not going to change outside of people to people. The trust is maintained through, you know, qualification certifications, process, procedural, SOPs, but then the people. And it's many of your clients only stay because of the trust built with your people, if you're a leader of a company. Everything else can be the gloss on the car, but you know, the core, the beating heart, is the people, and that's where sustained trust comes from. And good leaders get that, and they get that. You know, you as Olga rightly said, in my view, you start with the people, and then everything else works from there. It's the bedrock that you need to work from, and that's where cultural intelligence, we've spoken about a few times here, still matters, and more than ever.
Right. So true. I think that's so important. And obviously, I think trust is the key word, with machines playing such an important role right now, AI playing an important role. At the end of the day, the end customer or the end consumer of the content, the localized content or the product, they really want to believe in what they are using, right? So it is very important, whether it is the end customer or the people working in your organization or anybody in between. I think that trust is the thread that ties everything together. There may be one final question here is, do you have one or two examples of any company which you are already seeing successfully transformed using AI? And if you have talked to people there or maybe observed it, what made it work really?
I have some thoughts on that, if I can have a go. You know, so firstly, let me step back, right? So sometimes the transformation journey is the goal. You know, the journey is the goal, right? So example I have is a regulated language service company. They wanted to find out what their customers as a group were trending towards in terms of movement to automated systems, AI, etc. So they did surveys of customers to assess whether they would consider using AI workflows if they were provided as part of their service offering. Just let me step back again. We speak to CEOs of these companies all the time. In this particular case, the feedback they got was a mixed bag of feedback, right? So regulated industry deciding, I'm not sure we can allow for that level of risk because of what we do. So part of that was an education thing, but the company got enough good data to tell them that they should do a pilot test offering 3 to 4 options, which included safe AI options, more reckless AI options, as well as their normal quality offerings. This is all about psychology. You provide 3 or 4 quote options and let the customer be considered choice. Human nature kicks in, and you'll find that the bell curve is fattest in the middle 2 options. You know, we're given the most expensive hotel, nice hotel, a little bit expensive, nice hotel, not so expensive, cheap hotel. What are you choosing? Right?
Exactly. Great analogy.
Right, and that approach is one of many that people can take, but that approach allows people to migrate in a considered way, in a tested way, and in a sort of a piloted way as well.
Perfect. So brilliant. I think we have last few minutes left. So really incredible discussion today. Nice talking to both of you. So thank you both. Your insights are very valuable right now for all of us who are on this call, and maybe we'll share the recording also later. But I want to make sure that our audience also has a chance to ask some questions. So we are now opening the floor. If anybody has any question, please unmute yourselves and raise your hand. Maybe I'll allow everybody to get unmuted if they want and ask their questions. So please go ahead. The floor is yours. Thank you for being a great audience today. If you have any specific question for Olga or Dave, please feel free now.
Hi, Saurabh sir. Probably
Hi.
yeah. So my question is that if someone is just starting their career in localization industry now,
Yeah.
so what is the most important skill I should learn first,
Yeah.
like AI or other soft skills?
Right. So I think either of you can answer. I think you touched upon a few aspects already, but please go ahead and answer for the lady.
Important skill, how to frame your value
Yeah.
and contribution.
Right. Exactly.
I, I would
Great.
something similar actually. We spoke about value mapping, and you know, it's similar to what Olga's saying. It's how to understand how your value can contribute to mental KBO, key business
Yeah.
objective. And sometimes, you know, when we're starting our career, I certainly remember when I didn't want to know about that. I wanted to know about tools, technology, didn't want to know about the business objectives. But I think nowadays it's a lot more, there's so much more information about it. You don't need to have an MBA to understand this stuff anymore. So I would go down that route and try and understand how something you do very well can impact business value, because that could give you a path to a career.
Exactly. So
Great question.
yeah, good question. I think very relevant also to the topic. Maybe any other questions?
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, most welcome. Other questions?
Okay, so hello
Yeah.
everyone. Good
Yeah.
evening and good morning.
Hi.
So my name is Peksha, and I wanted to ask one thing. Like, if you could give one piece of advice to like a newcomer in the localization industry, so what it would be, like, as a newcomer?
Yeah.
I would say don't be tethered by legacy. As a newcomer, you probably won't be anyway, Piksha, but don't be tethered by legacy, because it's very easy to get stuck into how things have been done. And I think ultimately, as a newcomer, your superpower is I'm not tethered to old ways of doing things, and I have a new perspective on how we can do this. I have a couple of daughters and a son, and they keep showing me how they create videos in like 10 seconds, and I'm going, what is this world? You know? So it's not being tethered to legacy thought processes or approaches to doing things.
Very good. Yeah, I think we have other questions, I believe. Please unmute and ask. More questions?
Yes, sir. Hello, everyone. So I really want to ask from both of you, like, how is localization industry evolving with AI? Will the nature of jobs for all of us change in next 5 years?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to say, if I understood you correctly, what we were talking about earlier about orchestration enablement. So being able to be that person that summons, you know, the strengths of a solutions architect and an air traffic controller of sorts. So what it means, you know, solutions architects are client oriented, and they design solutions for clients. I mean, in this day and age, I mean, we are designing solutions that, of course, are AI enabled, but of course, they are tailored to their needs. And the air traffic controller part of it means that you carry high operational responsibility. We were talking about earlier about capability density. So if you are that person that has that solutions architect with the high operational responsibility for multilingual content AI systems, that means that you will be designing end-to-end workflows with this combination of human and AI. You will establish the framework on when and when not to use AI. You will decide when and when not to include experts in the loop. You will define the governance. You will define the risk mitigation, and you will optimize for outcomes so that it's a win-win situation. So what it means is that you're creating value this way. That's why I was talking about the one skill to focus on is repositioning your value, because if you position yourself like that, you can build on it, and who knows, how far you will go, because you will be creating value instantly. This is the best advice I can think of.
I have a question, Saurabh. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah. So I'm wondering what your perspectives are on the centrality of translation management systems for the future of multilingual services, given that we're talking about orchestration, workflows. This is the direction which TMSs are evolving, but it seems like they're also competing with large native AI procedures that are fully automated.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have a shot at that. Great question. I think we're going to hit an inflection point. Some people would say we're already there, where there's a question mark about what is the underlying way to store and manage global content. And I see various debates happening on that at the moment. I think it's still to be seen which way it goes. There's certain technology that is looking to move out of a kind of a segment-based relationship, which has been in the industry for as long as I've been there, which is 30 years, but and moving into other more dynamic type systems. And I think when you have something like AI coming in, these things start to become front and center. And I think we're just going to see that debate continue, certainly during this year. Olga, any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is one of those, as Dave was saying, an inflection point where you need to decide, what you preserve, and when you introduce, more disruptive elements, so that you can continue forward and you are not kind of tilting towards one place or the other. And it will be interesting to see. I think that the expectations that have been placed on that transition that happens in the future, and what is achievable, during those years, is something that is kind of life history right now. I mean, like we do need to see, where that actually takes us, because I think that I mentioned before that there is this expectation that the tipping point is actually closer than it actually is. And it doesn't mean that the tipping point is not there. What it means is that the timing, or our perception of timing, is a little bit warped, based on all this noise that is happening. So I think that we really need to understand how that will be resolved. I mean, and what kind of conversions will be achieved in the future.
Sure. Perfect. I think Vinay, you have a question. You want to unmute yourself and ask it? Yeah.
Yep. Hi. We discussed about the human-centric approach. So my question is like, how do you assess whether a candidate can hit the ground and running and make an immediate contribution to the organization growth?
Yeah, I like this question a lot. Thanks very much for it, Vinay. Yeah, my view on this is you've got to culturally assess a match during and before processes get serious. So understanding whether there's a good culture match with that candidate, what they can bring to the table, and also enabling them to have the space to show what they can do. As Olga was mentioning earlier, it's enabling that space, letting them, this is what we're trying to achieve. Here are the results. Align to those results, and go do your stuff. So how do you assess that they can hit the ground running? I used to use a few different techniques, and depending on the role you're trying to hire for, they can work better or worse. But having some kind of real test scenarios that show candidates, this is what we expect. This is really what you will be doing. And I've had people say to me, hire managers, oh no, hold on, that's very hard for me to replicate. I said, do a bit of thinking about it. Sit down, come up with a way of doing it. If it's a marketing type job, get them to create it. If it's a sales type job, get them to pitch in a quasi-real scenario, right? So you're testing for them to come out, their ability to work within a quasi-real environment. Some people say, oh, they don't work. They can work if you set them up properly and you explain what you're trying to achieve by these tests, which really is to see if there's a good cultural fit.
Perfect. So I think we had some very good questions. Is there another question or something? No. So I think we are already running out of time. There might be more questions. So please don't hesitate to send the questions my way or email, and we will make sure that we get the answers to you. I'll collaborate with Dave and Olga for any other questions. But I think we had a good conversation today, great interaction. So thank you, Olga and Dave, for joining us. For those who want to reach out, you can also find Olga and Dave on lionpeopleglobal.com, and make sure that you join us on our next session of Globalization at the Power of AI webinar series. And I truly wish you a great day, great evening, wherever you are, whichever part of the globe you are in. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dave and Olga.
Thank you
Great
very much.
conversation. Thank you.